Welcome to AfterBuzz TV's Spotlight On, where everything's made up, but the points do matter. That's right, guys. We have Whose Line Is It Anyways? Brad Sherwood, and I cannot wait to talk to him, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Thunder! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to AfterBuzz TV's Spotlight On. Again, I'm so excited to have the brilliantly talented Brad Sherwood. Brad, thank you for being here today.
I am so excited I'm here.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
I'm excited to be anywhere when I'm driving around LA.
Absolutely, yeah, because you're not normally LA-based.
No, I used to live here. Lived here till I was, lived here for 28 years, and then about 4 years ago left, and now we live in Las Vegas.
Vegas?
Yes.
Okay. I've heard the Vegas life is deceptively calm.
Yes. The best description of Vegas is to take Phoenix, shrink it down to about the third of the size, and then stick a big casino circus in the center of it.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's just a desert town.
A desert town with like 5% of it or more, but a small pocket of insanity.
Yes.
Surrounded by calm suburban families.
Yes. It's a western desert ranch town surrounding a frat party.
There you go. Well, Brad, I'm so excited to have you here today. As I mentioned at the top, guys, Brad Sherwood is an incredibly talented actor, comic, and most importantly, improviser. You have seen him, I'm sure of it, if not on The Tonight Show or LA Law, you've definitely seen him on Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's funny, I've interviewed a lot of people, but I'm like a little starstruck today, Brad.
I understand. I'm an amazing force.
He's very intimidating.
Yes.
Very mean.
I'm like I'm truly mean.
Yes.
I'm a lot like one of the Mount Rushmore figures of improv.
I would say that's
Yes.
true.
So, but it's carved in sand just on the side of Venice Beach. It's not like in granite somewhere in the Dakotas.
It's you, Colin, Wayne,
Yes.
and Ryan,
Yes.
and Sand.
And Greg, of course.
And Greg, of course.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. There will be 5 for this one.
Someone has to have glasses to fill in for Roosevelt.
Thank you for representing the glasses-wearing crew. We're very underrepresented and underappreciated in Los Angeles. So, Brad, I'm so excited. We're basically going to go through kind of the chronology of your whole career.
Okay.
Spotlight On series, it's conversational, and it's a chance to really get to know you, not only as a performer, but as a person.
Yes.
So I want to talk first. You were born in Chicago, but moved to Santa Fe. How old were you when you made that move?
I was about 10.
Okay.
I went there and started in 6th grade in Santa Fe after having grown up in the Great Lakes area, and my grandparents all lived in that area. So it was kind of a culture shock.
I'm sure.
To go to this mountainous town. And a lot of people don't realize that Santa Fe is a high elevation town. They sort of picture it as like the Roadrunners, just rattlesnakes and dirt and cactus. But actually Santa Fe is like over 7,000 feet high.
Wow.
So you have to get used to the lack of oxygen. So it's like a mountain goat town.
I'm sure.
It's 2,000 feet higher than Denver, and Denver brags about being the mile-high city.
Yeah, I'm sure there was like a period of adjustment where you had to learn how to breathe. And
Yes, yeah, that never goes away. Yeah, no, actually, I had really good wind once I had lived there for a while.
I bet.
I was like an athlete.
Yeah. You sort of need that. I mean, we're going to get into it, but improvising is it's a sport, I mean, it's a very aggressive and physical form of entertainment. So I'm sure you appreciated that athletic build that you had in Santa Fe. I do want to talk about Chicago, though, because Chicago is such an improviser's town.
Yeah.
I know you moved when you were 10, but do you feel like you got that exposure to the comedy community while you were there, or were you still a little too young?
I think there's something in the Chicagoland water that gets into the DNA of people from that part of the world, that so many funny people, and then funny people that, immerse themselves in Second City, came out of that region. It's a disproportionate number of great comedic talented people from right there.
Yeah.
Hovered around the lake. And so that's why I'm saying it's got to be the water, because it spanned generations. It wasn't just my generation. It was from the Mort Saul days and the Joan Rivers days, way back through those days. So.
Yeah, I'm from the Great Lakes region as well. I know you're friends with Drew Carey.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
from Cleveland as well.
Oh, yes,
so,
indeed.
Yes, he's one of our greats that emerged. But yeah, I found that there are a number of very funny people who emerged from the Midwest. I think there's kind of the Midwest nice, but I think that can also kind of come with a sense of irony sometimes. Yeah. And yeah.
I think it comes about a couple of things. I think it's good to have a base of nice, but I think there's an inherent sense of humor that develops in people and families that go through harsh winters like that.
Yeah.
You've got to persevere, and you have to kind of laugh about it. So if you grow up around a lot of people that have laughed at watching family fall off snowmobiles and
Yeah.
slip on a driveway. You know, you just humor is sort of in your DNA.
It has to
So
be.
it's in your water and it's in your DNA.
There it
That's
is.
the whole area.
And in the snow.
Snowball fights. Yeah, people who grew up in a warm area don't have to persevere.
Not at all.
They don't have to get through a winter. They just like, oh, I have to wear sleeves today. You know,
It's
just
bananas.
Yeah.
I'm getting married in August.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
Thank you. I've sort of been talking about sort of, what it would be like to raise a family with my future wife in this city. And
Mm-hmm.
part of the reason I'm like wary about it is because the only character building you do in Los Angeles is sit in traffic. Whereas I had to, rake and shovel, and I
Yeah.
feel like there's something kind of fortifying about having to exert physical labor.
Yeah. Well, I think there's two things. Yes, you don't get to imbue that sort of Midwestern sense of responsibility and chores because there aren't as many chores. And now with the advent of cell phones that have completely taken young kids' point of view and focus away from even having an interaction with their parents. So really, that's your bigger focus. If
Yeah.
you can somehow dupe your child into never wanting a cell phone, then you might have someone that actually will relate to you because they develop interpersonal skills.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's
your generation is like the last generation of people that actually looked in people's eyes to have a conversation.
right. Know how to speak.
Yeah, and from here on out, it's just like hunched over.
And even for me, it's very questionable.
Yeah.
So
Well, everybody's on the teeter board there. Yes.
Absolutely.
Some have social skills, others do not.
Yeah.
You seem to be very magnanimous and
That is
like
nice.
to talk to people.
I do. I do. I do want to talk about Santa Fe because I'm curious. I feel like improvisers usually have sort of a moment or a production or something they can kind of point to where they sort of got the bug. I'd love to know, like, first your interest in performing and then also your interest specifically in improvisation.
I got the bug, and I'm not sure how or why, but I decided I wanted to be an actor when I was 8 years old. We were still living in Chicago, and I told my mom I want to be an actor. And so she enrolled me in a summer children's theater program, and I did a production of Prince and the Pauper. And I was kind of hooked ever since that, and continued to do plays through all my grade school years and up through high school, and then went to college for acting. So, and I was an only child, so I liked making people laugh. It was a way to ingratiate myself to people, and so I just developed a personality that wanted to be funny. And I wasn't someone who would pore over joke books and memorize jokes to tell to friends. I would just, in conversation, listening to what we were all doing and talking about, say something funny related to that. So I was already doing improv in my everyday real world as my sort of social game to get people to like me.
Game, nice usage of that word.
Yeah, so that was, so when I sort of found out what structured improv was all about, I already had the synapses completely wired to do that from day one.
Yeah, I do think there's something about when you meet really, really great improvisers like yourself, there is something a little, like you said, in the DNA, there's something kind of inherent where you're just unlocking a joy and almost an essence of an improviser. I think you can train an improviser and learn how to, play game and, a herald or whatever. But I think some of the essence and the bones of a great improviser are there from when they're a kid even.
Absolutely. I think you have to have a couple of factors. You have to have a curious nature that has sort of absorbed everything about the world. You should like documentaries and know about animals and lots of different jobs so that you have this wealth of wide-ranging references whenever you are in anything, that you're not stymied when someone says, hand me that spanner wrench, we're going to work on the alternator. I've never touched a car engine before, but I can BS my way through a good 20-minute monologue about pretending to do that.
Right.
And the same with animals and biology and botany and things like that. So if you have that, and then an innate ability to just sort of access all of that quickly, and you have a sense of humor that can somehow twist it to make it funny. And obviously there's so many different points of view that can make something funny.
Right.
But that's the essence of being an improviser. Almost as an adult, you have the ability in your brain to still play as you were when you were a child, making things up in a treehouse and the pirates are attacking.
Yeah.
That's just an improvised game, not for the point of laughs, but for excitement and stimulation. Improv is just the funny version of that adults do.
Right, and I think there's some truth to be said that even a great funny improv scene has to build its truth before it can deliver its jokes.
Yeah.
So you really do have to be able to immerse yourself, and really use your imagination to enter a scene and be in a scene before you can start being funny, I think.
Yeah, and it's not always build a truth, like on the TV show Whose Line. The scene just has to build a simmering homoerotic attraction, and then the comedy starts.
There's a lot of that on
the,
Whose Line.
the producers find that hilarious, so they always sort of push us in that direction. Colin, you're the French maid, and Ryan, you're the Randy movie director. You know, it's like, oh, okay, it's like Benny Hill just being pressurized into a comedy diamond.
There's a lot of that on that show now that
Oh,
you're
yes,
mentioning
yes.
it.
And that is not us taking in that direction. That is being handed that direction and then us trying to, find our way to a new
I've
version.
been in love with Colin for the last 4 episodes. Can you just let us not? That's really funny. Okay, so in college, you were a theater major, you said. I'm assuming you were probably involved with the improv group at your college?
We
or-
did not have
You
one.
didn't have one?
Because that did not exist until Whose Line came
Yeah.
on the air. So the strange magic is that that show really exploded the United States' awareness of
Yeah.
improv. It was kind of known a little bit in the club circuit, and there was a group called Theater Sports that had been around before I was in college. Obviously, they'd been around a while, but they performed in little theaters here and there and had groups in lots of different cities around North America. But no one knew about it in high schools, and there was no outlet for it on television. And then all of a sudden, it was on Comedy Central, the reruns of the British version, and people started to find out about it. And then when Drew brought it to ABC, then all of a sudden it's in curriculum in drama classes in high school and college, and then all colleges start having improv groups. So it's kind of cool to be at the forefront of a comedic art form that till that point was just kind of something that everybody at Second City did, and if you went to see their show you could see some, or so it's a job that didn't exist when I was a kid wanting to be an actor.
Well, that's what I want to understand, because you're right. Now, improv is so pervasive, and there's UCB and Second City, and which is great. I mean, I think I would encourage anyone to take an improv class, because I think whether or not you're a performer, it can really push you to be a better person.
It
and
can help you in every aspect of your life.
Truly, it truly can. But what I want to know is, as someone who didn't necessarily have immediate access to sort of a, what's the word, like a crucible, like a place to sort of train and hone your improv skills, how did you become a master improviser?
Well, I did have a place. I was doing. I was working in TV production when I first moved out to LA, behind the scenes, and a guy I was working with said, "I'm taking an improv class. I think you would like it. You should come check it out." So I went and checked it out, and it was like the clouds parted, and I could hear the angels singing, and someone handed me the instrument I was supposed to play. It really felt that epiphany.
Cool.
And so I did that group for probably about a year. I went to workshops there. I think it was maybe even 2 times a week, and we would all just get up and do games and perform for each other in this rental theater space off of Santa Monica Boulevard, and I loved it. And we performed a couple times at the Laugh Factory, and then from there I met someone else at Cat and Fiddle one night after we would go there after our workshops, and she was in a group called Theater Sports, and she told me about that. So I went and tried that out. And then that was sort of more advanced and had lots more games and structures to sort of learn about, as opposed to just the nuts and bolts of how to do it. And never stopped doing that, and started performing with them. And we did shows 3 times a week at Theater, which was on Cahuenga, which is now where the Greyhound bus station is.
Oh, yeah. Wait, right down here?
Yeah.
Yeah, really close to here.
Yeah, right down just north of Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
And it used to be a theater, and it was the theater where what's his name? Johnny Depp was in the movie about was it John Waters? I think so.
Hairspray?
No. It was I can't remember what it was, but it was about theater productions that he performed in that theater.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not
Ed Wood.
Oh, Ed Wood.
Ed
Yeah,
Wood.
so
not
good.
John Waters.
Is that now Comedy Sports?
No, Comedy Sports. Theater Sports was like McDonald's. Comedy Sports was an offshoot of someone who took Theater Sports and started Comedy Sports.
Oh.
They are identical. Their ideologies are almost the same, and everybody has gone through one or both of them at some point.
Okay.
Ryan, Colin, and I, and Greg, and Wayne all at some point were in Theater Sports. So we all have that Theater Sports background.
Cool. I love
And,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a different community now. There's so much improv. I do want to ask you, so before Whose Line, you had a run on LA Law, or was that sort of during...
That was my very first professional job. That was the first audition that I booked and got on the show. And I had a 6-episode arc, and I played the nanny, the male nanny of Michael Tucker and Jill Eikenberry on the show. They were the married lawyer couple on the show. And the storyline was that they had interviewed me, and they said no. They had hired the female nanny, and then they caught her making out with her boyfriend on the couch the next day. So they got rid of her and brought me in. And my storyline is that I start to have feelings for Jill Eikenberry, the wife in the situation. And there, I was in my 20s, so I look like I'm 12.
Right.
So it's like young boy crush on her. And I remember my first day of shooting, I'm in the makeup trailer. I'm so excited because I'd watched that show in college, and I am now on LA Law, like one of my favorite 1-hour dramas.
Yeah.
2 years later, I'm somehow on this show, like highlight. Oh my God, crazy. And Michael Tucker, the husband of the actress I'm supposed to be in love with, and also his real wife in real life and on camera, comes into the makeup trailer and is complaining about how implausible this plot line and storyline are.
Does he know that you're...
I think he knew. I don't think he really cared.
Yeah.
He was just frustrated and was talking to producers, thinking this is the dumbest storyline, and her character would never do this. So they got the script and they read it, and they were both like, "Oh my God, this is so stupid. This is so cheap." And I'm thinking, "Oh my God, this is my first job in show business. I'm so excited I'm going to get 6 episodes."
Welcome to Hollywood,
yeah,
kid.
and so like from episode 1, he was already lobbying to have my character run over by a bus, written off the show. It was like it was so demoralizing.
Yeah.
So any thought of me having a character that sort of was going to blossom and maybe stay on the show any longer was not going to happen.
So the lead actors hate you.
Yeah.
Here's your mark.
Here's your first job. You're now going to be on a show you've dreamed of being on, never thought you would be on, with 2 actors you highly respect, and they don't want you there, and they've said it out loud in front of your face on your very first day of your first professional gig in Hollywood.
There's one complication. That's hilarious.
Hooray for Hollywood.
That's awesome. Well, welcome to LA,
Yeah.
LA Law.
I'm still here.
Still here. But you got Whose Line pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, I was doing theater sports, and I was performing in Second City out in Santa Monica. That when it first came to town, it was there.
Yeah.
And I was understudy for Ryan. He was in the main show, and I was in the touring company. And Megan Cavanaugh and Andy Dick and Mark DiCarlo were also in the touring company with me. And I was his understudy, and he said, the producer from England of Whose Line is coming to audition people. You should go check it out. So I've had every leap of my improv world has been someone going, you should come to this. You should go to
That's
this.
great.
You should go to that. So yeah, it's
Good
really,
thing you did.
Yeah, and good thing I auditioned well, because it was the chorus line of improv.
I'm sure.
Yeah. We started with 40 people, all my friends and compatriots, and from all the groups I already knew in LA. And I was the only one that got on the show. And every 20 minutes or so, he would thank some people and send them packing, and then continue on with the audition. It wasn't. Oh.
So it's this chorus line, and little by little, they're weeding people out.
Yeah. It's not like, we all do our thing and they say thanks. We'll get in touch with all of you. It was like, thank you, the 10 of you, for your time. We appreciate it. Okay, now we're going to, and so now everybody realizes, okay, this is literally shave and go.
I have to know what that audition looks like. Is it games? Is it exercises?
It was games.
Okay.
It was games. It was, stuff that was either loose games or games that they played on Whose Line.
Yeah.
And it was trial by fire over and over again. It was probably a 4-hour audition.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then they fly you to London, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, the first season I did was in LA, or not LA, in New York.
Okay.
It was Whose Line in America.
Okay.
And that was the British version. And then the second season I did was in London. And then the last season that we did was the final season of the British version, which was in LA.
So I would be curious to know what it was like to kind of be this American transplant. Was the rest of the cast British?
No, Ryan was on the show.
Ryan was on the British
Colin
one,
was on
okay.
the show, and Greg. So
Oh,
it
most of you
had
guys.
already morphed into a North American insurgents. Really, there were very few English people on the show at that point.
So why do you
From the
think
early days.
Why do you think this sort of? I mean, improv feels like kind of an American invention to me, and obviously it was mostly an American troupe on this British show. Why do you think it thrived in the UK before it sort of made its way over here?
Well, it started off as a radio program, and they would have wits and literary people and stand-ups do the radio program, and then they transitioned into TV, and Jonathan Pryce was on the original British version of Whose Line. Hugh Laurie was on. Stephen Fry, and then some other people that may not be known over here, John Sessions and some other. Yeah, so it was a veritable who's who of established stand-ups and comic performers from England. But I think there was something about the American performer was goofier and willing to sort of throw themselves out there physically and character-wise, where they tended to be a little more restrained and they only wanted to kind of do verbal stuff. They didn't want to look stupid. They wanted to sound clever.
Yeah, wit over kind of physical comedy.
And so that lost a certain theatricality that as the show started to, I don't want to say evolve, because it might have devolved.
But the show regressed.
Yes, but it became more of what the producers kind of wanted it to be, which was, this, visual and physical and intellectual feast as opposed to something that could still just be a radio program.
They needed dumb Americans to come and be goofy.
And Canadians.
Canadians.
They needed dumb Canadians.
There's a lot. You know what, though? A lot of good comics from Canada. I mean, Lorne,
It's that whole Second City thing, too.
Right.
Toronto and, Chicago are so much alike. And geographically, they're like lakeside, freezing wind related towns, and they both came up with a lot of Second City masters.
Same water, so our theory still holds.
Yep.
Okay, so the show does well in the UK, but you said it wasn't really until Americans started to see reruns that it was kind of greenlit in the US. Is that right?
No, it wasn't greenlit in the US because of the reruns. It was a cult favorite over here from just the ones on Comedy Central, but it didn't get a mainstream following. It was kind of like college kids would watch it late at night on Comedy Central. It wasn't until the producers of the show sort of got Ryan to convince Drew to try and walk this in to someone at ABC to give it a chance. And Drew was a big fan. He believed in the show. And so he pitched it as, I'll host it, bring this show, it will do great on the network, give it a chance. And so they hesitantly gave it a chance and bought 6 episodes for summer run. The most lackluster belief in a show that you can possibly have.
They're trying to essentially kill the show.
Yeah, they're like, okay, we'll do 6 little episodes and we'll put them on a Tuesday night on the summer. So, but it got great ratings and big buzz, and everybody loved it, and it was so cheap for them to shoot.
Yeah.
So that we started shooting a real season the next year. And, they had so much confidence in the show that they put it on Thursday nights opposite Friends and Survivor. So...
moderately popular.
Yes, so they were like, well, we don't want to risk anything big. We'll just put this cheap, crappy show on in the ratings dumper.
Yeah.
And then the producer, the network people go, well, it's not getting very good ratings. And you're like, we can't win. We're affordable, so they don't feel the risk of putting it into a deadly spot. And then when it's in the deadly spot, they look at the ratings and don't think.
I mean.
Yeah. So, we were sort of.
Well, from my perspective, the show did really well. I mean, to me, I consider it a very important kind of formative show for me in terms of I'm a comedy nerd, and it's an honor to be interviewing you. But I again, didn't really know what improv was. And for people who don't know sort of maybe some of the secret mechanics you guys are doing behind the scenes or in the middle of scenes, it's magic. So what did you feel like it was like to all of a sudden be exposing mainstream America to improv? And I'm sure there was sort of this feeling of meteoric fame that accompanied that.
No, I'm still waiting for the meteoric fame.
Now that you're on a small digital network in North Hollywood, you've made it.
Thank you. All right. I'm back where I started. I used to deliver scripts to this very neighborhood.
There you go.
That was my first professional gig, was basically delivering scripts on the It's Gary Shandling show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So you probably got to hobnob with some A young Judd Apatow.
Yeah, I didn't know Judd because he wasn't officially on the show on the season I worked. He was just really good friends with Gary. So I think I ever met him per se. And I was a script delivery person.
Right.
So nobody was going to be hobnobbing with me unless they were like, tuna sandwich. That was the hobnobbing I would get.
It's good.
Yeah. But I don't know where I was going with that other than I'm back in the valley.
But I would have to imagine there was some. I mean, you must have felt at least a little bit of a change in your life. Were you getting recognized, do you feel like?
I get recognized a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say that we didn't think we were on the forefront of it growing into anything because we'd already been doing the British version, which hadn't really grown into anything. And we'd all been doing improv for at least a decade each in little clubs. And so we had an entire career of begging people and trying to get people to come see our improv show. So it had always been the little engine that could to us, and we didn't believe it was ever going to change it anything more than that.
Right.
And then even the network never believed it was anything but the little engine that could. It blew up, and it offered us, the best thing is that it offered Colin and I this ability to go out on tour and do live shows all over the country, which is really my main gig now.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. That's the current iteration is Scared Scriptless, right?
Yes.
But I would love to hear about this kind of brainchild that you and Colin have put together. What is this tour? And it's a 16-year-long thing you guys have created.
Yeah, I haven't looked it up, but if you put enough disclaimers in front of something, you can boldly say we are the longest consecutively running two-man improv show on planet Earth.
In the universe,
Yes.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe even in the universe.
Yeah.
We've been doing it. We gave it a try. I knew it would work because I'd done it in comedy clubs with a friend of mine as an adjunct to help pay my bills because Whose Line, you tape all the shows in like 3 weekends and then you have the rest of your year to do nothing.
Right.
So, I already knew it would work and we did it and we had a great time and sort of never stopped since then. I laughingly call it my full-time, part-time job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if people want to follow you on the Scared Scriptless tour, what's the best way to kind of keep up with those dates?
We have a website that they can go to and check the dates that continually are added right now. I think just the spring is up there, but it's colinandbradshow.com.
Colinandbradshow.com.
And then go to the link for tour dates and then see if we're coming to a town near them.
So why did you land on Vegas? Because it's such an immediate... It's the second entertainment capital in the world next to LA, right?
I just had to get out of. There were a couple of conditions. I had to get out of LA. I was
Yeah.
just tired of the traffic. I'd been here long enough. All of my work is everywhere else in the country, so
Right.
I just need a place with a good airport. So that was, and I like dry weather because I hate mosquitoes and I hate cold winters.
Yeah.
So it was like if you leave LA, you either go to Vegas or San Diego.
Right.
And I didn't want to be farther away from the rest of North America as I travel around. So now I'm actually an hour closer everywhere I go.
That's true.
Yeah.
So one thing we like to do on this show is kind of a top 5. I would love to hear like the top 5 comedy shows, probably scripted, but just the top 5 sort of comedy shows that you feel like have sort of influenced you. They could be kind of growing up or on now or just highlights.
Well, it's going to show my age because, I think the most formative ones were the ones I watched when I was a kid, little, from 10 or 8 even all the way up. So the Carol Burnett Show,
Yeah.
which just taught me how to do sketch comedy and do characters and wing it because, Tim Conway used to go off script and it was awesome. So that was maybe the first time I ever really saw improv was when he was trying to make Harvey Korman laugh or the rest of the cast because he was not sticking with what they were supposed to do. I loved the Andy Griffith Show. It was such a simple little homespun show, but Don Knotts, I think, taught me so much about how to milk a character for comedy. Monty Python,
Yeah.
Just so important to me. Like, I think my spirit animal is John Cleese. Like, whenever I speak in a British accent, I am channeling John Cleese and all the great stuff that he did on that show. I love that show. I can watch that all the time. And by proxy to that show, I also loved Fawlty Towers.
Yeah.
3 seasons of just side-splitting hilarity.
It's the kind of funny that makes you want to quit what you do because you're like, we can't touch this.
Yeah.
Like, this is too good.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Arrested Development as well. I don't know if you watched that show.
I loved
but
that show. Yeah.
It's coming back, which is crazy.
Oh, wow.
I know it's the show that never dies, and none of us want it to,
Yeah.
but that's a show that you watch and you're just like, man, it can't get more elegantly comic than this. Like, this is like the bar. Well, it's fun to talk comedy with fellow comedy nerds, and I've had a lot of fun today, Brad, and it's been great getting to know you.
It has been great. I'm happy to come back anytime.
Good. We'd love to have you back. Is there anything else that you'd like to promote? Obviously, your tour. Anything else we should be looking out for right now?
Well, if anybody watches this in England, we're going to be in December going to do some more shows out there.
Great.
And with Greg and Jeff and Josie from the British version, with Clive Anderson, the host of the British version, hosting it. And we're going to be playing at a little place called the Royal Albert Hall.
Ooh,
Can
cool.
you believe it?
It sounds very British.
Yeah, I said that that is going to be the most prestigious place any of us ever play. And the show is going to be the least prestigious show they've ever had in that place.
It's perfect.
So it's going to be a perfect amalgam of...
A beautiful train wreck.
Yes.
The last thing I want to do is I would love you to, if you can think of something, tell us something we might not know about the following people.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Drew Carey.
The things that you would think you wouldn't know are actually true. He's the nicest guy in the world. He's so generous. He took us all on a cruise once as a thank you at the end of the season. He took the cast and main crew of Drew Carey Show and Whose Line.
Wow.
He chartered like one of those three-masted, oversized sailing vessels. So it wasn't like a Princess Cruise thing. It was like a large, luxury yacht for 100 people. It was
So cool.
Really great.
How about Wayne? Anything we don't know?
Wayne, he is so annoyingly talented.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's like a quadruple threat.
Yeah.
He does the music, he does the singing and dancing and characters, and then he's also a fast improviser.
Yeah.
So
How about Ryan?
Ryan is so shy.
Is he?
Yeah, and he doesn't like to fly.
Oh, he doesn't like to fly.
Not a big flyer.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm speaking out of school to say that, but I think, he of our group is probably the most like Howard Hughes.
And then anything about Greg that we don't know?
If Ryan could figure out a way to never still be a performer and never have to interface with actual humans, I think it'd be his dream job.
He's the Stanley Kubrick of improvisers.
Yes, he's very aloof.
Nice. Anything about Greg that we don't know? The glasses they're not real.
Yeah, no, he really needs those glasses. Without them, he has to hold something really close. I may be offending other people when I say this, but I think Greg might be, trivia-wise and factoid-wise, the smartest human being I've ever met.
Wow.
He knows so much about history, and he knows so much about sports, especially baseball, that and just he remembers the minutia, and he just can rattle. If you see him get into some discussion with an actual baseball person, he's just firing the facts out, or he reads historical biographies and battles of wars and stuff, and he can go, I just read this book, and then he tells you all about the Napoleon campaign to take over Europe. It's like, oh my God, and he tells you in detail. So
Very
he has
cool.
a photographic memory of these things.
Get him on a trivia team.
Yeah.
Finally, Colin. Anything we don't know about him?
Well, he's probably the nicest person. So Wayne is crazy talented. Ryan is crazy aloof. Greg is super smart, and Colin is just maybe the nicest, easygoing person I know.
That's great to hear. Well, I can't tell you how much fun this has been, Brad, and it's been cool for me to, meet a comic hero of mine. Thanks for coming in.
Sometimes it can be a letdown. I hope I didn't destroy your icon.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Guys, this has been Spotlight On here on AfterBuzz TV. Today we talked with the brilliantly talented and hilarious Brad Sherwood. Of course, you know him from Whose Line, but a bunch of other stuff. I will be seeing his show with Colin. The current iteration is called Scared Scriptless. Is that right? But
yes.
to find the tour, just go to colinandgregshow.com.
No, Greg is not in that show.
Oh, sorry. Colin and bradshow.com?
Yes.
colinandbradshow.com. And guys, my name is Jeff. If you want to find me online, you can do that at Jeffrey C. Graham. If you're interested in comedy, I host a show on Fridays here called The Unproduced Table Read, where we read award-winning pilots and features that haven't been made yet and interview their writers. We're reading a comedy this Friday called I'm Not Like This, and it's great. That's 10 a.m. on the Popcorn Talk. Brad, where can they find you on social media if they want to connect?
My Twitter and Instagram is at the Brad Sherwood.
At the Brad Sherwood.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you next time on Spotlight On.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.